Welcome in, everyone. I'm so excited you're here this morning. I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, and I have a hair on my face that I've been trying to get off for 5 minutes. So if you see me picking at my nose, that's what's going on. But I'm really happy you're here. We are really privileged today to have some time with my good friend and one of my personal saviors, Connie Rutledge. Connie, welcome in. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. Thanks for having me, Kimberly. It's always so much fun to get together. And
You look
yes,
so beautiful today.
you're so sweet. Thank you. So do you.
Oh, no, thank you, thank you. I am wearing my pajama pants, so this is all
I love
misinformation
it.
up
I
here.
love it. I love it.
I want to tell you guys how I met Connie because it's important, and it really made a big difference in my life. If you've been watching me for a while, you'll know that I lived in South Carolina before I moved to Florida, before I moved to Oregon, before I moved to where I am now, California. That's the journey. When I was in South Carolina, I looked in the mirror and I looked so different than I had looked a few years earlier. I mean, I'd been fit and healthy, and then I was in South Carolina and I was not fit and healthy. I just couldn't figure out what was going on. So I started on this, what I thought was a weight loss journey, get fit journey. And Connie, who was a viewer then, she hadn't contacted me or anything, we didn't know each other. She sent me an email and she said, maybe what you're doing a few things aren't going to really get to where you want to go. And she was so nice about it. And she started talking with me, and I realized the things that I was doing at that time and eating and part of my lifestyle was not helping me at all, particularly at my age. I think I was, maybe 65 then, 65 or 66. So I ended up working with Connie. She's a functional nutritionist, which really works for me because you guys know I'm not a big fan of going to the doctor. I haven't been to the doctor in a long, long time. And so I was open to it. It's like, okay, you're coming at this from another point of view. So Connie worked with me. I ended up getting in terrific shape. You guys saw me in Florida. I looked great. I felt I looked great. And I'm not saying I looked great. I was fit. That's what I'm saying. I was fitter and leaner, and I felt terrific. Well, long story short, things happened again, and I kind of fell off the wagon, but now I'm back on. And the reason I wanted to have Connie on is because when you hit our age, the things that used to work don't work, and things are just different. Our hormones are different. Our metabolism is different. So I wanted to have Connie back on, and this is for you guys to ask questions today. Connie's going to stay. We're going to answer as many questions as possible about belly fat, thyroid, which was a huge issue for me. I was able, working with Connie, to get off thyroid medication that I was on for like this much. I was on for this much, and boy, I did not like it. And she just kept tweaking me, and I don't take any medications now. So this is for you to answer questions. And Connie, for those who don't know what a functional nutritionist is, kind of tell us what you do, tell us what you focus on, and how you are different than like going to the doctor.
Absolutely. All right. As a functional nutritionist, I look at the body a little bit broader spectrum. We look at things like the metabolism certainly is going to respond to how much you're eating, and it's just a different lens and more holistic. Let's put it that way. I feel like so many women at this age especially. I mean, we have just done the low calorie dieting. We have done the, just deprivation for so long that we've really messed up ourselves hormonally and our metabolism. And I know that when I met you, and I'll just tell this story. I was watching one of your Pretty Over 50 videos, and you were going to get back into shape, and you had talked to a personal trainer, and that that someone suggested that you get 100 grams of protein. And so you showed the audience this big jug of whey protein. And I just was like, no, that's not going to work. So I thought, well, I could, you had mentioned email me if, anyway. So I did. I emailed you and I just said, you might want to consider blah, blah, blah. Well, what's wrong with eating, 100 grams of whey protein? Well, that protein is not going to work in your body like you think it's going to work. And there's so many things that depend on how your metabolism is going to work. We're individuals. There is no one size fits all. And sometimes when we take a protein supplement like that, it can turn into glucose. And then obviously we know glucose is going to raise insulin and you're going to pile on the weight, even though you're trying your darndest to lose weight and look better. So as a functional nutritionist, I'm looking at cues, I'm looking at you, I'm asking different kinds of questions about your energy and metabolism. And do you have a quote unquote cheat meal, which I don't like that term at all, but a meal off plan. And does it take you, 6 days to get back to where you were before that meal? Inflammation, where are you? How's your sleep? How's your circadian rhythm? I mean, there are so many things that go into the functional lens to give, me information to help you just kind of sort things out. And then there's a blueprint, there's a plan. And it takes effort, it takes intention, it takes just awareness, but it's not difficult. Literally, it's common sense in terms of, you can't eat your way to being thin in terms of, I don't know. I struggled for a long time with my weight and my whole life, I would say. And I think the functional world has given me the intel to be able to crack the code. And not that I'm perfect, but boy, it works for so many people in terms of how to eat, how much to eat, when to eat, how to live, and what things to look for and stay away from. And so it is multifactorial, and it's worth understanding.
Yeah. So let's talk about, I've met Connie in person. I've been fortunate enough to do that. We're now living in the same state, so we might be able to see each other again soon. And she's very fit looking, very fit. And it's hard for me to imagine that she ever had a weight problem, because she just looks like one of those gals that has always been slender and fit and trim. And we all know those kind of women, that they just came out of the womb that way and that nothing's changed in 60 or 70 years. That's what Connie looks like. What I want to talk about now is the changes that happen in our body as we age. So I thought that I was in great shape about a year ago. I got just busy with other stuff. I fell away with my exercise program and with my eating. I started eating out at restaurants because I was too busy to cook.
Okay.
Why does our body kind of go clunk quicker than as we age than it does when we're younger? Is it just our metabolism slows down? Is that what goes on? Or is it the muscle loss thing? Or is it a little of both?
It's a little of both, and it's hormonal, because we just don't have the ability to burn like we did, and that's muscle mass, and we have to work hard to maintain our muscle mass, and that's a whole nother conversation with all of the GLP-1 peptide and weight loss protocols now. We need to really eat to maintain our muscle, and that's protein and amino acids. And it's important to appreciate and to track and understand how much protein our body needs, for one, and how much actually that we're getting. in terms of, and what type of protein. So food matters, and the quality of protein is important. So, I mean, it sounds like, oh my gosh, you know, I'll never master it. But it's very simple in terms of you just need to understand, if you weigh 150 pounds, you probably need at least 70 to 90 grams of protein a day. And what does that look like?
Mhm.
And that's usually, I'll start with 3 meals a day. And I like to say you probably need about 30 grams of protein every time you eat.
Yeah.
If you're not doing that, then maybe you want to supplement.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's an individual. And the reason why, Kimberly, you probably gained fat when you were busy and overburdened was stress, inflammation from eating at restaurants, and then just, not moving as much, or not
Yeah.
being as intentional with the moving.
Yeah.
And as we age, then things start to pile up, and it takes a bit to clear it out.
Yeah. I was talking with Connie before we came on, you guys, and I'm assuming that you are mid 50s, late 50s, 60s, early 70s if you're watching this channel.
Yeah.
And I was sharing with Connie that I saw either a video or a post on Instagram yesterday where there was this woman who said, I'm 70 and I just moved into like an assisted living facility. And I about spit out my coffee, you guys. I'm 6 months from 70. I'm still doing all the stuff I was doing before. I can't even imagine. And when I think about it, I think I don't feel much different than I did when I was in my late 40s, early 50s, physically. I can still do the same things. My body doesn't look the same. I wish it looked more like it looked when I was in my early 50s, but there we have it. I think that what's important for each of us to recognize, and it's a total inside job, is what do we want for ourselves?
Exactly.
Yeah. Do we want to start folding in ourselves and becoming less and less capable, or are we just going to keep going? I want to keep going.
Let's keep going. That's what I'm going to do. I'm 65, and I definitely, I've got a long time ahead of me to enjoy my life and my grandkids. And that's what I want for my clients, and all women, everybody, the men too. That's important. Everybody. And we're in a time that we have the capability. We have, we can rely on ourselves. We just need to understand how it works.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about, there's a comment from, I think it's Champagne 5982. Connie, I think this is what I was taking. She says, I do take levothyroxine. I think that's what I was taking. And I want to make a comment about that before I turn this question over to you. I am overweight by a couple of stones. Welcome from England or Britain. Also tired a lot. So what's the best diet? I have started strength training. I eat a lot of fresh salads and veggies. Okay, I want to say a couple of things about that levothyroxine. Actually, one thing that, and you guys know, I am just not a Western medicine fan. You guys know that. If you're here, if you are, that's great. I just have my opinion, and everybody gets to have their opinion in my world. I was on that medication and I was getting heart palpitations. Like I'd have to sit on the couch and kind of like focus to kind of calm it down. The interesting thing is that my doctor was like, if I was taking a nutritional supplement that gave me that kind of heart palpitations, they'd be saying, it's going to kill you. It's going to kill you. I mean, the double standard on what they're willing to jerk your body around is stunning to me.
Yeah.
So this gal, Champagne 5980, that's me. That's me right there. I would get tired. I was overweight, I find that once I start moving, it builds on itself because we're electrical. And
Yes.
once we get that electricity moving through our body again, we just feel more energetic. So can you talk about that situation? Because that was me.
Uh,
Absolutely.
exactly, and I remember that. So the levothyroxine is a T4. It's a thyroid storage hormone, and it's going to give your body the message that you have thyroid hormone on board, and then your body then is responsible for converting it with an enzyme into the usable thyroid hormone, which is T3. And sometimes when you feel very tired when you're taking your Synthroid or levothyroxine, it's typically because your reverse, so it's enzymatic. Our electrical bodies create enzymes, and there's all of these pathways. And if you are not a good converter of the thyroid storage hormone T4, then you might convert it into the reverse T3. And I call reverse T3 the hibernating bear hormone. And it's going to pile weight on your body. So you need to have some blood work done if you're on the drug, the medication. I recommend requesting a full thyroid panel. And even so, it's going to look at your T4, your T3 levels, your reverse T3 levels, and also your thyroid antibodies to see if you do have an autoimmune component, which you would then be responding to, gluten and dairy and other things causing the autoimmune piece. So if you're on a thyroid medication, whether it's T4 or T3 or a natural thyroid hormone, which I'm not opposed to those, but I really recommend that you understand what you're taking and how your body is responding to it by annual or maybe twice a year having a thyroid panel to see where your levels are. That's very important.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things we have now that, we didn't have, I don't know how long ago.
We
Or
can
wasn't
request,
common.
yeah, we can request our own blood work. In fact, my Fullscript dispensary has a way for you to order your own blood work, and it's affordable.
Yeah, I probably need to do that and send it over to you. I can't read it. I don't know what it's it's just looking at it.
I love
Balance
this
sheet.
stuff. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you love this stuff. Oh, crazy, crazy. Okay, here is Zania D. This is a comment that I can really relate to because this is me. I know that my fallback, just either genetically or the way I'm built or whatever, is I can get schlumpy. In other words, if I stop moving, I get slower and slower and slower. I'm not one of those can't sit still person. I'm a world-class sitter. I could win the Olympics at sitting. And so it builds on itself. It's like if I move more. If I'm slumpy, I get slumpy. She says sitting at a desk 4 days a week is in no way helpful either. And I can see that.
Yeah.
I have never been energetic. That's me.
Okay.
So it's much worse now. I'm 10 months from 60. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you have to move. I mean, we're designed to move, and sitting at a desk, and I'll go into the whole quantum biology stuff. Sitting at a desk in front of our computers like we do is draining our battery. We are water and we're conductors. And so that electricity hitting us in the face, hitting our body, it's draining our battery, and the energy flows out. It just gets used up. So we have to then just appreciate, the red screen on the computer screen, or the blue blocker glasses, which, people think I'm nuts. And I don't wear it because I use a screen on my computer. It's called the Iris app. But if you just appreciate that we're not designed to sit in a room with, EMFs and non-natural lighting. We're designed to be outside. And the sun, although we're trained to fear it, And we do need to protect ourselves. You know, you don't want to scorch your body, but appreciating that that light is essential to our biology. Our pathways, our cells depend on it. And every single cell in our body has a clock. And that circadian rhythm sets up the messaging for, you know, making cortisol, for making melatonin. I mean, it's all part of how we're designed.
Okay. So if you, Connie, if you were, if your lifestyle changed and you had to sit at a desk for 4 days a week, 8 hours a day,
what would I do?
What would you do in order to be able to make that work for you?
Great question. I would take light breaks. I would go outside for 5 minutes, just like you take a cigarette break. I mean, we don't smoke anymore, but you know, you at your job, you used to get out. You know, you could just request, I need a break. You need to use the bathroom, literally, or open a window and get your iris, your eyes, to natural light, to give that body a chance for the signaling, you know, to take place. So that's what I would do if I was stuck for 8 hours in front of a computer in a room filled with, you know, light and stuff that was non-native. Okay. I would also get up maybe every hour and do 10 squats.
Yeah.
You know, just move your body. And I would get out at daybreak every single day to see sunrise with your natural eye, you know, with natural light in your eyes. So peek your head outside.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself a fighting chance.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so Janie says, I think it's important for people to realize, though, that you don't just stop taking thyroid medication.
100%.
Yeah.
Just like you don't just start, you know, changing your diet radically. I have so many clients who, you know, they already are on a restricted calorie diet. They've been low calorie dieting for years. And then they hear me say, okay, you need 100 grams of protein. No. You got to build up, just like you would taper off of your thyroid medication if your blood work shows that, and you're feeling right. Please don't take anything we're saying as a radical change. We always want to ease into it. I mean, it's just like when you get a new animal, you're not going to completely change their diet. They're going to respond they're going to throw up. So let's be clear that we need common sense in this equation here.
Yeah, that's true. I think I probably just stopped taking mine.
Well, you're braver than me. Yeah.
I'm not a rule follower. I don't know how I ended up doing. I don't know if I think I might have talked to you, Connie, because I was taking some other things,
Yes.
supplements.
Yes.
And you said, okay. And I think I did it like every other day, and then maybe every third day or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'll have to say my body seems to be fairly resilient. You know, in other words, I'm not delicate. So I don't remember it being a problem.
You were also doing all the things. You were doing the intermittent fasting. You were getting your exercise. You were supporting your body in ways that you hadn't been previous. Yeah. And you were feeling better to be able to just say, I don't need this anymore. And sometimes there's that intuitive piece of, I got this. So, and we don't always pay attention to that. So I think you were just on you were on a roll.
Okay, so Louise says, during the pandemic, I noticed my vision was getting blurry, especially during the morning. My eye doctor recommended getting glasses with blue blockers. Can't live without them doing computer work. Talk with us about, because I think a lot of people, although blue blockers have become more popular, and I have one of those things on my screen that it intensifies as the day goes forward. So by the time it's nighttime, my screen looks orange, you know.
Yes, great.
So can you talk with us about what blue light does and why we want to really think about mitigating it?
Well, if you think of, and there's a spectrum of light that's important, and it's balance. And the computer screens, our phones, the TV, the LED lights, they all have a blue, I would say, more blue than red. So it's way off on one end of the spectrum. And when the light, our eyes are going to see that, and it's going to go into our brain, and our body makes certain hormones like cortisol. When we have too much blue light, our body assumes that we're outside at noon in June. Bright. Okay, so it's like red alert, we're on. Cortisol is being, coursed through the body to propel us forward and give us the energy we need. Okay. We have seasons, and the sun is at a different spot on the planet, in the sky, creating a different message for the body, because as the sun sets, then our body's going to naturally make melatonin so we can sleep. And then early in the morning, it's going to switch over and make cortisol. So that's how that circadian rule works in the body. When we're in front of natural or non-natural light, our screens, all day, and then we go home and we turn on the TV all night, we're at noon in June all the time. And there's no time for the body to switch over to healing and that parasympathetic mode.
Right. It just throws out everything. And you guys know me, I think it's intentional.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's intentional. It's like they want workers. They don't want happy, peaceful, creative people.
We're not designed to work 24/7.
Yeah.
Well, and then we can't sleep, so we're on our phone, laying in bed, and that's a disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Zanzia, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, honey. I take a sea kelp thyroid supplement, and it does help, but not so much with the weight and tiredness. Now, is it the iodine in the kelp? That's my first question. She said, I took Levo for a year. 10 years ago, but didn't want to do it long term.
Okay. Well, first off, if you're not feeling well and you're not getting ahead of the game, then you might consider the medication. But yes, there's so many things that it's difficult to ascertain what the problem is, online, obviously. And so you're going to need more information to determine, what is needed. And I can't say, but yes, iodine could be important. And it could also be a disaster. But the natural, there are glandulars that are supplemental form that could really, really help. And or you eat, organ meats and or, more protein. So there are things supplementally we can do. There's also even a T2 supplement that is very interesting. But again, we want to support the usable thyroid hormone in the body, T3. And most people take T4 and are not able to convert it properly.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want you guys to know that I eat ground beef now that has organ meat in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't taste any different. And I believe it's called, is it Ancient Nature, Connie? I actually buy it at the grocery store. I don't have to buy it online. There's a kind of a chain grocery store in my area that you can get it and it's grass-fed beef and it has organ meat in it, which I think is wonderful. And I would imagine that's going to become quite a thing if they continue to let us eat meat.
There's also, I know Noble Protein has beef isolate protein powder with organs, and it's delicious. And I have a discount code on my channel is Over 50 Fat Blast on YouTube. And my website has all the information on the resource page. But my favorite products that I use and eat But the noble protein is delicious and a great supplemental protein.
I'm going to try that. I haven't tried it. I'm going to use your discount code too.
They're a great company. The guys that created it are they're younger, and they get it. It's impressive.
I like finding those kind of companies where the company is created from passion.
Exactly.
Not for profit. And when you do it with passion, you end up with the profit.
Indeed. Yeah.
Okay. So here's a question. Can you intermittent fast with an underactive thyroid? I've never done this because of the thyroid.
Of the underactive thyroid. Yeah. Okay. I would say yes. I mean, intermittent fasting, we're designed not to eat all the time. So what are we talking intermittent fasting? If you're doing a daily practice where you're getting 12 to 14 hours in the fasted state, which is in the sleep state, obviously ideally we want to wake up. The studies are coming out now saying that skipping breakfast isn't the best for us. I just don't love to eat in the morning, but I'm really trying to train myself to have a little something, which might be, an egg yolk in my coffee, a little scoop of protein powder, whatever. So most days I'm trying, and the word try is horrible. Sorry. I'm wanting to feed myself something to stoke my metabolism and give myself some energy, because I tend, when I'm fasting a longer term fast, my cortisol will rise. And that's a kind of a red herring, because we don't want to get too much hormetic stress in, when we could, if I eat a little something and my cortisol stays nice and low, which means my body is happier. Okay. So when she's asking, can I fast with no thyroid or low thyroid function, you want to support that and fast later in the day. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because when you're, when you sleep all night, you're dehydrated, you need to wake up and you need to hydrate, and then you need to support your metabolism. And if you do have a poor metabolism, it's time to feed your body. So you want to start, giving your body nutrition and nutrients and all the, all the information it needs, meaning the light and the energy and getting your exercise, and allow your body to heal before you really kind of start doing longer term fasts. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah. And I just want to make this quick point. And I think that healing is so important, because I don't know that we realize as a population, particularly those of us who live in the US, how toxic our environment is.
Yes.
Our bodies, I just am stunned that we can even get our asses out of bed in the morning between whatever the hell it is in the sky, what's in our food, what's coming out of the tap water. I just we are one tenacious little creation that we can still exist in all this toxicity. So the fact that we're even still kicking is, I'm impressed with. So healing your body.
Well, and that's another caveat, and my frustration with what's going on, and most the people that find me, having the ability to make the commitment. I mean, I have programs. I have a 4-week. Well, it's not a 4-week. It's a 4-session plan that is a healing, metabolic healing, metabolic mastery, gut healing, all kinds of, I kind of design my programs to be a 4-session commitment, because, and people have a hard time with the commitment, because being in a body and doing all the things takes effort. And it's disappointing when you don't see change immediately. So I understand why people kind of shy away and don't want to commit, because they don't believe it's possible. they don't believe healing is possible. But, we're fatigued in a way that is, ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it takes time and effort and patience and belief and more effort. So I understand why it's so hard for people to actually, lean into doing all the things. But I promise you that if you're willing to give it a go, it works.
Yeah, it does work. That's true. And understanding the process too is so important because it's not a straight line. And I know for myself, I'm back on track now. I'm working out, my diet's cleaned up. I'm doing all the things, and I know it's working because my pants are getting really tight. And if I didn't understand that muscle mass comes in before the fat loss starts happening, I'd be depressed.
Yeah.
But it's like, I know, it's like, okay, good. The pants are getting really tight. That means I'm putting on muscle mass. That muscle mass is going to start burning more fat. Everything's going in the right direction. If I didn't know that, I think this is not working.
Yeah, right. It's not easy. Being a human being is not easy.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Okay, someone has a question for you. I think is a good one. How do you put an egg yolk in your coffee? I would imagine you just crack it in there.
I just crack it in there and I whiz it up with my little, little whizzer thing. And it's delicious. If you haven't tried it,
it probably makes it a lot more creamy and
so creamy. Yeah. And the thing about that is egg yolks are full of choline. And we are not understanding how the lipid layer of the mitochondria is deficient these days. And I guess I can kind of go into mitochondrial health. The mitochondria is the energy, the powerhouse of the cell. That's where we get our energy. Okay, that's where all the things happen in our bodies. And we need to eat quality fats and lipids to build that outer shield, I'll say, that outer lipid layer, inner and outer lipid layer of the mitochondria, because that lipid layer determines how healthy the function is. Because it's like, if you don't have, if your skin is dry and cracked on the outside, I mean, things are going to get in and things are going to get out. And it's not going to be a pretty picture, right? The cellular structure and the charge of the exclusion zone water and the nutrients and all the electrons, all of that happens in the cell. And that lipid layer kind of determines how well it works. So by having egg yolks and good quality fats and eating, quality food. We have to eat the fat, that lipid, the essential fatty acid is something that our body doesn't make on its own. We have to eat it. And then our body makes that layer. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm putting an egg yolk in my coffee tomorrow morning.
Do it. Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds good. Yeah.
It is good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's go down the GLP-1 road right now, just because, they've been out for a while. What are the names of it that people,
the brand names? So pharmaceutical, it's Ozempic, Mounjaro, Zepbound, and there's a new one that hasn't been approved. It's called retatrutide. But the Ozempic is semaglutide. Tirzepatide, the Zepbound is tirzepatide, and then there's retatrutide. Okay,
so first of all, I want to know your opinion on them. Secondly, I want to know why a lot of the people that are, celebrities look so horrible. Is it the GLP-1 or are they actually clones?
Yeah. Good question. How do I feel about them? I think they're revolutionary in terms of, but I believe that the drug form, I'll say, the semaglutide, tirzepatide, and retatrutide are peptides.
Okay.
just like collagen is peptide. The body makes these things naturally, glucagon-like peptide, okay? And I feel that the pharmaceutical industry has overdosed the population. So when your doctor prescribes your GLP-1, it's designed to, you take it at like 2.5 milligrams. The next week it's 5 milligrams. The next week it's 7 milligrams. And then you're up to 15 milligrams. Well, that is shutting down the appetite center. It's shutting down your ability to hold food. And it's starvation. And that's why you see these people looking like,
horrible.
Yeah.
Because scary.
And they're losing weight so quickly that they're losing muscle, they're losing everything. And I fear for what's around the corner. I am excited about the possibilities as we move through and they start learning better. we're able to microdose
with peptides.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And there's a lot of controversy, but I see a lot of amazing results with weight loss peptides and other peptides. I mean, they're revolutionary. And when you realize that peptides are signaling molecules, yes, they are synthetic, but so are a lot of things that we ingest. They are mimicking what we naturally make. And I'll say it's just kind of like giving the body what it understands and is used to having on board and no longer has it available.
So how does a GLP-1, how does it work? Does it just suppress your appetite, or does it actually change up functions in your body?
It basically, it turns down food noise. It lowers inflammation, and it returns it slows gastric emptying and that's why so many people, fear that, they're going to lose their gallbladder. But when you're not eating for 6 months, at a time, yeah, you're going to destroy some organs. Yet when you do it safely and you know what you're doing and you're under the care of somebody who knows what they're doing, then they can be a complete game changer for sure.
Yeah. So you've seen good results with your clients.
Absolutely. And I am a stickler for if you're going to, play this game, you're going to play by the rules and you're going to eat your protein and you're not going to overdose it. And it's going to take you a year. That's me, Kimberly. Let's talk about what's it going to be a year from now, because I want you to be better off and not, in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah. And it's not surprising to me that a lot of these are getting overdosed. I mean, they're just giving them too much because it's just about selling. It's like the more stuff you can sell, the more profit.
Yeah. And it's
perverse incentive.
And it's enticing if you've been struggling with your weight for 15 years and you've done all the things and you finally get your hands on something that works. It's just human nature to want to go harder, faster. Yeah. That's just normal.
Okay. So there was a question here about belly fat. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I noticed this, Connie, probably all you women did. Yeah. When I was in my early 50s, where the fat ended up my body was different. All of a sudden it was just, gathering all over my stomach. Why is that? Is that a protective mechanism?
It's because you just don't have as the hormones, as estrogen starts to dwindle, we don't process glucose the same. and insulin starts to be more and more available. The body has too much insulin, and it's a stress hormone. I mean, it's causing cortisol. So you couple the circadian stuff, our lifestyle, the light, the insulin starts to, I'm sorry, the estrogen and our hormones start to, go away. And it just like kicks up all of this, I would say, inflammation that turns to flub. And it's not going to get easier, girls. It isn't. I weigh about 128 pounds. I'm 5'6". I'm active. I work out. I know all the things. And literally and when I hit menopause at like 57, I put on 15 pounds immediately. It was like, what is happening? Literally. And I have taken all of that off in the past couple years and maintained it. But we have to be careful. And I know that my waist is probably, an inch thicker than it was 2 years ago. And I weigh exactly the same. So it's just the middle, I don't exercise like I used to. I don't, I'm not sweaty when I work out anymore. So am I not working hard enough? Well, I'm working hard. It's just aging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's just you can look at a woman and almost tell her age because we just get whiter in the middle.
And I also will say, okay, if I look back at my grandmother, she had a wide waist, yet we have more stress. We have more assault, and that takes its toll. So it's just part of being on the planet right now.
Yeah.
Not that we can't do everything to, try and turn it around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question. Leather and lace. What does it mean to me if I have the lowest DHEA a functional medicine doctor has ever seen?
Well, there's a lot of stress. There's hormonally, you're not, I mean, I don't know how old you are. It's really hard for me to comment on a question like that, but DHEA is the precursor to estrogen. Okay. So you got to look deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I want to go back to the topic of peptides. I mean, GLP-1s are peptides.
Yeah.
And I've heard good things about retatrutide.
Okay.
I'm not an eater. In other words, I don't comfort with eating. I comfort with sitting. So it's like some people eat, some people become slumpy and sluggish. I do the slumpy and sluggish thing. And I have hobbies that I can just sit there and then I can justify I'm sitting here because I'm doing this hobby thing.
Right.
So the reason I want to talk about that is peptides, from what I'm seeing, Connie, and you're in the thick of it. So it's not new news to you, are game changers with our health. And we do have the ability now to get peptides on our own and work with them at home. And I know that because you walked me through it. I was a laughable disaster in the very beginning. I got this needle and this jar, and Connie was like, I'm freaking out. And then I find out it's totally easy.
Totally.
Can you talk about peptides? And I think that it's probably because we've been so indoctrinated, particularly in the US, to turn our health and our bodies over to someone who went to medical school.
Yeah.
We don't take charge of our bodies anymore. We don't take ownership of our bodies anymore. And I think that that's an important distinction. When you start realizing that there's no one on the planet that knows your body better than you, it changes how you work with your body. So can you talk to us about working with peptides on your own, what the potential is, and where you think the whole peptide thing is going as we move forward?
Well, as of April 15th, the powers that be are clamping down hard on, we call them research use only peptide companies. Okay. Things that we can buy online. And I want to just say, I want to be clear that there's a lot of garbage out there. Just like, when you're buying supplements online, you can't trust, you do your research, ladies. But and I believe that in the next 5 years, we will be able to walk into a clinic and get something called, like an anti-inflammatory peptide, like BPC 157.
Yeah.
Body protective compound. It's an amazing peptide that helps with inflammation. It helps with joint health. It helps with tendon repair. It helps with healing. It helps with gut health. We can have it orally. We can take it, with an inhaler. You can spray it in your mouth sublingually, and you can inject it. Okay. Much like what we're going to see with the weight loss peptides. And ladies, there are countless peptides out there for mitochondria. I mean, sky's the limit. And the biohacking world is incredible for longevity and regeneration and, stem cells, all of the above. But I will say that you want a trusted practitioner who knows what they're doing, because all of these peptides that are signaling molecules are giving the body messages, and we have to be aware that our design, our pathways can get overburdened, they can get confused, and you can do a lot of damage if you're not understanding what you're ingesting or injecting, or, and where is it coming from. So I will just say, use a trusted practitioner, and do your research.
Yeah. I didn't realize that the availability of peptides had changed.
It hasn't, they haven't pulled, well, it's impossible to, shut down all the companies, but they're serving these, the companies with, cease and desist letters. I understand it. The FDA is supposed to be looking out for us. That's laughable. But if in a perfect world, we should be able to get whatever we want and do this, have access. And we still can, but just understand that things are changing,
Yeah. But I think that, the FDA is looking out for the profits of big pharma.
I won't argue that. I want to believe that there's some, at some point they had our best interest at heart, but
at some point, but certainly not now. It's like any agency. They are now the lapdogs of whatever it is they're supposed to be policing.
Yes. But you know what? I do feel that maybe, I guess I'm hopeful that the peptides that are so regenerative are always going to be available, and they're going to be available in a different way than they are today, because what the companies that I have access to and are affiliated with, you see the third-party testing certificates. I wouldn't dream of even recommending anything like that unless I absolutely had that information. So there's a way to do it safely. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. And I think that over time that we are going to come into a new era where real true health is going to be supported.
I think so.
And we're going to have the backlash is just getting too big. I do want to, Louise posted something I think is so inspirational. When I started my journey with a functional nutritionist, it took my body 4 months to release. 3 years later, 100 pounds down.
Yeah, it's true.
Come on. That's a different life.
Totally. A whole different life. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so Roseanne, hey, GLP-1s, a lot have found microdosing. It is feeling much better. I do follow someone who had a certain marker and with exercise and her received much more health. I think it's just one of those things. Just like what I learned from Connie when I started working with her, and the one that stands out for me, this is gonna make you laugh. When I was in South Carolina again, and I was thinking I was gonna get fit before Connie contacted me, I was making these big batches of granola with oats and stuff. And Connie says, you know, oats are like glyphosate bombs. I haven't eaten oats since.
No.
So it's like once we get the glyphosate out of, you know, off the planet,
Yeah.
once we have, you know, a medical contingent in our country that's really working towards the health of people, not towards the profits of of an industry, things are going to be a lot different. But right now we have to kind of work around it and acknowledge that we are aging or growing older, having more years on our body in an environment that is more toxic than we've ever experienced, at least are aware of on this planet. So that's why, you know, I have a Jack Benny streak in me that is deep and wide. And if you're my age, you know that. One thing I will spend money on gladly is my health, because if I don't have my health, I don't have anything else. I don't have a happy attitude. I don't have an interesting life. I don't have activities I can do. I will cheap out on everything except my health, because I recognize so clearly that we are bumping up against challenges that we shouldn't have to be bumping up against. And that is the toxicity and the toxic, under nutritionally substantive food system we have. So, you know, it's been documented. You can buy an orange and the orange has no vitamin C in it. This is what we're faced with. So whatever we can do, or whatever I can do to keep my body as functional as possible, even though I put on some weight, I still could do stuff. And that's what's important to me, is doing stuff. So where I want to go now, Connie, if you would, is I know that there are a lot of people that want to feel better. Walk us through what you do with a client, because Connie she works with people all around the planet. I worked with her for a couple of years before we even met. And the only reason we met is she happens to live close to where my daughter lives. And I was able to see her when I went for a visit. You don't have to have Connie in your neighborhood or even in your country. It's an online thing. And it was so effective for me. So can you walk us through what you do with a client? And you have these different packages. So if someone's thinking about it, let us know how it works.
First of all, we start with a jumpstart session, and that can be scheduled on my scheduler online on my website, ConnieRutledge.com. But you will fill out an in-depth intake form, and we're gonna, it asks what you're eating, what medications, your lifestyle, what time you get up, how long you sleep, very, very in-depth questionnaire. And then we sit down for an hour via Zoom, and we kind of discuss what's going on, what you've struggled with, what you're dealing with, what your goals are. And I will give you, that minute a plan. Okay. And then a lot of times, sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you get busy with that. If we determine, you need further support, we can do a blood work evaluation session where you have your blood work done, or maybe it's blood work you already have. That's how Kimberly started. I assessed her labs, and we decided, from that, supplementally and meal planning and all of that stuff, how much food, what kind of food, what kind of timing, what is to stay away from, what kind of, exercise, and go from there. And all of these things take effort and time, and you have to practice these things into your lifestyle. And so that's where the packages come in. And I have even stopped requiring, weekly, packages, because everybody's so different, and we're so busy and overburdened that it takes time to kind of get into the swing of it. And so I kind of even leave it at your discretion. If you didn't get week two's, to-do list done, then you schedule when you're ready to schedule. So that's, I've kind of gotten to that point in my life, in my practice. I don't want to manage, I will give you all of the tools. You have to put them into practice. Yeah. And sometimes it takes a little longer. So, but we have all kinds of great ways to make it easy. It's just a matter of you kind of getting it in. So that's how my programs work. Mm-hmm. And that said, I will see a client, in January, because January is typically very busy, as we know. And she'll get busy on her to-do list. And then maybe she'll check in March and say, I'm struggling right now, or boy, I got off to a great start, or I'm doing great, and we'll tweak it further. And it's just kind of a customized situation. Yeah. Where, I've let go of the perfection piece where, I have to have my clients all perfect and everybody has to succeed. It's a process. Yeah. And it's different for everybody. So I think, if it resonates with you, I would love to chat with you. I enjoy, making it doable for you. I enjoy figuring things out. I mean, I wake up in the middle of the night and I think about so-and-so and so-and-so, and, things come to me and I'll email you. And I mean, it's an enjoyable process. It's not always fun, but boy, oh boy, I love working with, women like us.
You've got a great job in that. What a boost it must be for you to see someone completely go from feeling terrible and sluggish and heavy to feeling like, boy, they've got a new lease on life.
It is so rewarding.
It's got to be the best.
Yeah. I love what I do. And I mean, I struggled my life, I was always chasing it. That said, honestly, I feel very fortunate to have learned what I've learned, and it resonated. So I just want all of you to feel like I feel.
Yeah. I want to look like you look. I want to rat Connie out about something here. Yeah. No surprise to any of you who have been watching me for a while. I do not like being told what to do.
Nobody does.
You tell me what to do, I'm going to do the opposite.
Yep.
One thing I can say about Connie is, and I noticed this pretty early on in the process, she was so gentle about maybe just suggesting something you might want to think about. Maybe you could give it a try and see how it works. She ended up turning my behavior just, completely around in such a gentle way, because I just bristle when people tell me what to do. And she would always say it so gently and softly. And I still remember, I think that's one of the greatest gifts that you have. You have the ability to change behavior in a way that doesn't get your hackles up. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And I'm the same way. I don't like being told what to do. And I think that's why I studied hypnotherapy, and with the information that I've gotten with all of that knowledge, it's like, I want you to arrive at the understanding so that you're able to, appreciate and just not, I can't tell you what to do, and I will tell you what to do, but you have to do it. And it's like when you lead a horse to water, but literally I understand that, Kimberly. And I remember, I think I mentioned you were pretty inflamed. I think you were doing dairy. I don't remember, but I want to just tell everybody, if you are inflamed and if you are doing the same thing over and over, week after week, not getting, what you think is right and not getting results, you have to change things up. And what we talked about years ago was, Kimberly, maybe you give up dairy for 2 weeks.
I think I gave it up for like 6 or 7 months. But here's the interesting thing, you guys. Connie said give up dairy, and I just about wanted to open my wrists over the sink. It's like, what are you talking about? You know, cheese is the holy grail of life.
Sure.
I ended up giving up dairy so reluctantly because I just loved it so much. I dropped 20 pounds like in a heart skip and a jump. And here's the interesting thing. I do a little bit of dairy now. It is so rare. And I don't know what's going on with the cheese. I used to almost have a cheese addiction. Cheese kind of grosses me out now, which is weird. Like I can use it as a little condiment. Like if I'm making a protein bowl or something, maybe I'll put a little feta on it or a little something, something, or I get good cheese now. Like I went to the local international food shop, a little, you know, small business, and got some good Parmesan from Italy.
Yeah.
That's the kind of cheese I'll eat. But picking up one of those like plastic wrapped cheddar chunks and cutting off a slice now, that grosses me out, which is such a great, I feel like that's a step forward because my body is now looking at things and thinking, I don't want to eat that, or oh, I do want to eat that.
Well, and that's the beauty of this, because and I'll tell you a story about myself. I buy A2 milk, which is a different species of cow, different type of cow. And I buy it mostly for the grandkids. You know, my big 7-year-old grandson, you can't fill him up for anything. So it's like, drink some milk. And anyway, so I was putting milk in my Equip protein powder, the beef isolate protein powder. I'd done it with water and for forever, but for whatever reason, I thought, oh, I'm gonna try it with milk. And I did that for probably a couple months. And it's not every day that I have a protein shake like that. And I started thinking, I feel a little bloated. I feel just a little bit, you know, inflamed, fluffier. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to cut the milk out. So I'm back to water with some butter, melted butter in my, you know, smoothie. And that's done in wonders. But it's little things like that. And I know I will be able to go back to the milk now and then. But I think there are little things that we just have to appreciate that create a little bit of inflammation, and the body just says, change it up. Too much of a good thing. I'm not, you know, I'm not demonizing milk. I'm not demonizing dairy, but for those of us that are sensitive, it might be worth looking at it a little differently.
Yeah, it was a huge, it was a huge shift. And I actually am really happy. You know, I'll have, a little dairy here and there, but it's definitely not like it was. And I don't miss it at all. You know, I just don't miss it at all.
You know, with the need for so much protein, dairy's easy. It's a light protein, and it has carbohydrates that, you know, we haven't even touched on carbohydrates. There's nothing wrong with carbohydrates. It's just a matter of, you know, how much do you need? And we need to kind of pulse them. So sometimes it's a heavier carb day and sometimes it's a lower carb day, and understanding, you know, the relative strength of food in terms of nutrients and nutrient density. But that said, it's just a matter of eating, you know, whole, nutritious, clean foods most of the time.
Yeah.
And then eating and then stop eating, because we're designed to, you know, fill up the tank and then use the fuel. You don't go to the gas station, you know, 3 times in 3 hours. Well, not 3 times. You don't go to the gas station with your car every day. You know, you let the tank drain. You let your body use the food and the fuel that you have given it before you top it off again.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, you know, hunter gatherers, they maybe ate, you know, every other day or something. It just wasn't, you know, and we're shoveling it in. And I can still remember, Connie, you probably remember this. when Taco Bell tried to sell that fourth meal because they wanted you to go through the drive-through at midnight. These people are evil.
Yeah.
It's like that's the worst food, and then eat it at midnight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Anyway. All right. So thank you so much for what you've shared.
Yeah.
Connie's website is in the description box down below. She has a ton of information on her website, and she also has, you have a product list, don't you, of what you recommend over there. So if you're looking for like a good protein powder, it sounds like we found one. I don't shop around. I don't use protein powders very much, but there's two reasons that I use them. First of all, they're handy to have around when I just can't get the chicken or the steak or the ground beef or the eggs into my day.
Right.
And second, I'll keep in mind that if we have a food shortage, if you've got protein powder,
that's a good point.
You're golden.
Yeah.
Because you can mix that up with water and just keep yourself,
afloat.
Yeah. So over on your website, you have good suggestions for products.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about working with Connie, I can tell you it's a game changer. It certainly was for me. And I still pull in information I got from her, to get back on track. And I can tell things are going to snap back pretty quickly for me. I can already, see the difference. Once you know where to go and what to do, it's a completely different ballgame. And you guys all know this. We've been told a whole bunch of hooey for probably the last 30, 40 years about how our body really works and what we really need. So it's good to find a resource that is telling the truth. So thank you, Connie.
Well, thank you. And it's nice to be able to share it. And I mean, your audience, they're wonderful. You guys are wonderful. So I have a lot of pretty over 50, clients that I just appreciate very much. So thank you, Kimberly.
Well, I'm glad about that. And the thing that I want to say is, and I hope I can say this in a way that really kind of touches your heart. We are older. We're older, and it's our choice. It's our choice to fold in ourselves and end up in that assistant care facility, or to keep going. Yeah. And I tell my body every day, you're actually 50.
Yeah.
You're a 50-year-old body. And because I want to keep having fun. I don't want to stop having fun. And I don't want to stop. And fun is really dependent on whether you feel good or not. If you don't feel good, it's hard to have fun. It just is. So anything that we can do to take charge of our bodies, because no one's going to know our body better than us. And my opinion, that your body is smarter than anybody you're going to meet, because it is an innately intelligent design. And if we can support it, we're going to go a long way to having a really, really nice last, third of our lives or whatever.
And believing that change is possible, and believing our bodies are designed to heal. I mean, that belief, it's huge. And just appreciating that we have agency over our physical body, and our mind is a big piece to how that works.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Connie, so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you have more questions, or if you think of a question later, put it in the comments down below, and Connie will pop in the next couple of days and get back with you on it. Or you can just go over to Connie's website, ConnieRutledge.com. It's listed in the description box down below, and message her with your question. She's there for us. She's been really, really wonderful working with, viewers from my channel for a long time. So she's there for us. So let's take advantage of it.
And I have over 100 videos on my channel, Over 50 Fat Blast. And they're definitely, things that suggestions and information that might be helpful.
Wonderful. Okay. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Connie, thank you again. It's lovely to see your smiling face.
So fun to be with you again. Thank you, everyone.
And I will be back this weekend with a fun little video. It's about frequency. So make sure you join for that one. All righty. Bye now.
Bye-bye.